Well, good morning. This is Ian R. Crane, and it's the morning of Wednesday, the 12th of June, 2019. The title of this morning's broadcast is "The People Are Awakening to the Fraud." The fraud that is all around us, the fraud that basically keeps people in their perpetual slavery when there is a way out in many cases, but some people are very comfortable in their slavery. This is, of course, the classic Stockholm syndrome. But there is some good news. And I'm going to start this morning by mixing the good and the bad news, because Lyn Thyer yesterday made her way to Heathrow with the view that she was going to be extradited, but Lyn became unwell on the train on the way to Heathrow, and was told that basically she needed to go away and come back a few days later. But we'll see later what has transpired, because update there. But meanwhile, viewers of this morning's blog will know that John Smith, the prime mover behind the common law courts, has been making a real effort to overturn the corrupt ruling by the corrupt Judge Michael Supperstone. Basically, this guy should be recused from his responsibilities, and in fact, that is the ruling that the common law court made, that he should be recused, that David should be released from his tag, that Lyn should not be extradited, that they should have all their assets reinstated, and they should be encouraged to develop and produce GC meth once again, enabling many thousands of people who have been written off by the healthcare system and given an opportunity for a new lease GC meth. Well, since the Congress submitted the documentation to the courts to get a hearing in the Court of Appeal, and in the Supreme Court to get this unlawful legal ruling annulled. Well, funnily enough, they didn't want to talk to him. Now, they haven't told him to go away. They haven't told him that the documentation that he submitted is not correct. They just don't want to talk to him, because they know that basically this is the thin end of a very fat wedge. And if they allow the process to work as it should, then it would become very apparent that the court system, the legal system, is a fraud, that it is unlawful, that it is manipulating people through their legal fiction, i.e. the birth certificate. It's dealing with individuals as though they are dead. But Lyn has registered her live birth with the common law court. John Smith owns the legal fiction, and he's been given the power of attorney by the living woman, Lyn Thyer. And on that basis, the courts have no jurisdiction over Lyn Thyer. She is within the bounds of common law. But obviously, not surprisingly, the judiciary just do not want to go there. So, having sent many emails and made many phone calls and not made much progress, John is, as we speak, on his way to the Royal Courts in London, where he will, in person, be seeking an injunction against the removal of Lyn Thyer from the UK, pending a further hearing in which the legitimacy of the common law could be well and truly established. And of course, this is seminal. This is absolutely seminal. And that is why the judiciary and the establishment are going to do everything they can to kick this can down the road, because they cannot win. It's not possible for them to win, because the legitimacy of the common law court is absolutely sacrosanct. And the judiciary know it fine and well. So I know it's very short notice, but if you are watching this from anywhere within easy reach of the Royal Courts, then John Smith will be outside the Royal Courts of Justice in the Strand at 9:30, and then basically as soon as the courts open, he will be in person seeking as the living man, of course, seeking an injunction against any further action against Lyn Thyer and David Noakes. So I'll keep you updated on that, and obviously by Friday morning we'll certainly know the outcome of this. But if there is any significant update, then I will do an impromptu live broadcast. Now, elsewhere, last night in Topsham, just a few miles to the south of Exeter, some 150 people turned up at the Matthews Hall for a 5G awareness event. Now, this event was organised by a local, Charlie Kay, and he was very nervous because he wasn't sure how many people would turn up, whether it be 2, 20 or whatever, but it was a very creditable 150. And people had travelled from Cornwall, from East Devon, from Somerset, to come and participate in this event. And frankly, the question and answer session could have gone on, well into the night. But finally, Charlie called time at around about 10:30, and people want more. To which extent, Charlie has arranged a second event to be held in Exeter city itself, and that will be in mid-July. I think it's July the 15th, Monday, July 15th. So, but more of that obviously nearer the time. But this is indicative of the rising awareness of the dangers, the health risks associated with 5G microwave technology. And then just as the meeting was drawing to an end in Topsham last night, word came through that Glastonbury Council had debated the rollout of 5G and had voted on applying the precautionary principle and doing whatever it is that they need to do to prevent any further rollout of 5G in the environs of Glastonbury, pending further research, confirming technology is safe. Well, good luck with that, because the industry has admitted that there are no industry-sponsored studies which prove that 5G is safe. And there are an increasing number of scientists around the world calling for a moratorium on the rollout. But of course, the industry and the establishment just stick their fingers in their ears and say, la, 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 no, there's no problem here. We can't see anything. We're not going to listen to you. Roll it out. So, people are starting to realise that there's no interest in debating this. The infrastructure is manifesting. The phone masts are being erected at a phenomenal rate. Obviously, they don't need planning permission for them. And people are starting to ask the right questions. So the precautionary principle is very significant. And of course, this is has been a big factor in trying to prevent fracking. And the ease with which the establishment and the corporatocracy just dismiss the precautionary principle is truly enlightening, because it should start to get people to realise that the corporatocracy have no interest in the health and well-being of the people. All they're interested in is the quick buck, they hope. So the precautionary principle, if we actually go to the Health and Safety Executive website and look at what they have to say about the precautionary principle, because it says that, hang on, where are we? It is, lost my page here. It basically says that the precautionary principle should be applied in the event that there is any uncertainty about the safety of a particular process. But it does go on to say that this should not prevent progress of so it's a bit of speaking with forked tongue, really, but it's a very important phrase, and it's one that people need to take at face value and argue the hell out of it, because unless the corporatocracy can be absolutely certain that there is no negative health effect, then obviously it should not be rolled out. And last night, during his presentation, John Kitson showed a very, very disturbing YouTube clip from Italy, and it's named "The Town That Never Sleeps," and I'll put a link up under this video. But it's reported that there's something like about 140 odd phone masts and towers visible from this community. And the defects that have impacted particularly on the livestock in the area is very disturbing. And of course, there's no studies to link it directly to the EMF. But what is different with this community now than from a decade or two ago? And is, of course, the 140 plus phone masts. So, this is clearly an extinction level event, because the evidence is there that this is not conducive with the health and well-being of anything that basically is living. And therefore it should be stopped. So you have to ask yourself, what on earth drives these socio-psychopaths to roll something out when the evidence is there and clear for all to see, except those who drive it, or those whose salary depends on them being cognitively didn't see it. And I'm sure that if you sat any executives down in front of this video, they'd go, yeah, so there's no proof, is there? There's no proof that it's linked to the 140 masts surrounding this community. So we're just going to crack on. Well, that came to a stop last night in Glastonbury, and let's hope that other local authorities around the country, of course, Gateshead is, their council there are just either brain dead or so corrupt that they not only won't answer the questions, they actually attempt to imprison anyone who does. But, this perhaps opens the doorway for other communities to raise these issues with their council and get the council to debate it. And hopefully they will debate it with the same open-mindedness that obviously Glastonbury Council. So 5G saga will continue apace, obviously. It's being pushed in the media. There are posters on bus shelters where EE are bragging about their introduction of 5G in 5 cities around the country. But you know what? Sadly, it may have to get worse before it gets better. And I did a straw poll last night because obviously I talked about the tinnitus that I suffer, except when I was underground at the weekend, where I enjoyed silence, real silence, for the first time in a long time. And what was really interesting last night was to see that some 40% of the audience all acknowledged that they have some degree of tinnitus. And, that ain't going to improve if 5G rolls out. So, lastly, today, I'm going to talk about Peterborough, because right from the get-go, I questioned the validity of the result. And in the by-election, which the Labour candidate won, Lisa Forbes, won by just 683 votes. When all of the pundits, all of the analysts and people on the ground in Peterborough all predicted a runaway victory for the Brexit Party. Well, yesterday it emerged that a Peterborough resident by the name of Alan Rodis made a claim on a closed Facebook group called Peterborough Politics. And this is what he wrote. She, Lisa Forbes, the Labour candidate, got elected because 3 people, including me, Alan Rodis, burned over 1,000 votes for the Brexit Party and laughed while doing it. Now, it is reported to the police, and the police are investigating. Well, we know where that's going to go, don't we? The likelihood of the police taking any serious interest in this is, very slim. And no doubt a quick phone call from central office somewhere down through the chain of command will quash any investigation, because the establishment will do whatever it takes to prevent the status quo of the fake left-right paradigm being maintained. And, they're just concerned that the emergence of the Brexit Party might upset that status quo. So watch this space. But it really does go to show as well that we have problems with the manipulation. And this is 1,000 votes. Were they postal votes? I mean, it's already been reported. The number just seems ridiculous. And of course, there is no scrutiny really over the postal votes. And even senior members of the judiciary have previously acknowledged that postal votes are the easiest way in which to undermine democracy, such as it is. Well, bottom line here, the people are starting to wake up to what's occurring. So, if you can get down to the Royal Courts and support John Smith in what he's doing to try to get the courts to recognise the supremacy of the common law court over the unlawful legal courts and get Lyn Thyer's extradition annulled. And, with 5G, obviously the interest is arising exponentially. Over the next 2 to 3 months, I know there are literally going to be tens or probably hundreds of events around the country. The tour that I will be announcing very shortly, and thanks for all the messages of interest, of support for that tour that I've received. But, we'll be doing 23 dates over 5 weeks in September and early October. But there will be other events in July, like the second event in Exeter on July the 15th. There's events in London coming up. There's a number of events. And Mark Steele and John Kitson are speaking at an event. I'm speaking at an event on different dates. So, the people are starting to ask the right questions. And somebody came up to me after yesterday's event and said, it was very difficult for me to listen to it because what you're saying is really quite scary. Yes, it is. This is an extinction level. What do you want me to do? Sanitize it? Because, basically, if you can't see what's happening, then frankly, you need to step out of the way and let those who can see what's occurring actually take the front row and do what they need to do to get others, to stimulate and motivate others to take a look at this for themselves. And I will post that link to the video of the town that never sleeps. So watch it, weep, and then ask yourself, what can you do to help stop this pernicious 5G and LED streetlight rollout? We have an uphill battle, and sadly it's probably got to get a lot worse before it gets better, but we are moving in the right direction. So that's it from me today. You take care, you have a great day, and I will be back with you on Friday morning at 8:30.